guys, this is Cassandra Williams from Educational Innovation 360. This is Fast Track Friday for principals, right? School leaders, what are you doing? So 2025 is here. What are you doing for RTI and MTSS? Going back and looking at all my blogs, this was kind of the highest rank. So welcome. This is just another initiative. Our MTSS is kind of coming. It's here. We have blueprints that are out there for every school to acknowledge. And so what are we doing to really support our students in post-pandemic learning gaps while the lingering literacy mandates are here, as well as the AI tools? So hopefully we can talk about and frame this kind of as the goal, right? Providing a clear framework for what it is to come. So I hope you can work with RTI, MTSS just with confidence this year. All right. I don't have to say why does MTSS matter or RTI matter, right, in 2025. Really being able to think about the post-pandemic and the realities, the reading and our math loss as well, the literacy shifts, the science of reading, laws, of course, in 30 states. Really understanding all of these three components will help us understand like platforms like Panorama, which is good, and branching minds, right, to simplify our lives with intervention and planning. So if you're not using that, you should be. So there's an urgency for you to have a comprehensive framework now, today, now, in order for you to have like a robust engine framework, right, actually working, think of these as your 4 essentials that you need to have, right? Let's walk through kind of each point to let you know what you need to have. 1, you need your universal screening system, right? It helps you determine what the early detection, who needs help, who needs services, who needs support, right? Thinking of what that looks like. And then, of course, you need progress monitoring, being able to monitor your progress over time that is ongoing, right? It's just not at the beginning of the year, but it's ongoing. It's throughout the year. It's actionable goals, right? And then we think about what is our multi-level tiered system, right? Tier 1, all. Tier 2, targeted. Tier 3, intensive, right? We are working with all of our students, making sure we all reach our ultimate goal. And then 4, what is our, here we go, 4, thinking about our data-backed decision-making and what is the evidence around it? Are we uploading the evidence, right? What are the hunches that we have that we've seen patterns of before that we can support before it gets there? Really thinking about what you're going to do to make sure you do this, I hate to say with fidelity, but make sure you have consistent systems in place for this very 4 pillars. All right, when we're exploring the tiers, because you are building your pyramid, right, we're really thinking about 80% success at tier 1, 15% need to be at tier 2, 5% at tier 3, right? If you're thinking and you're looking at your kind of school and you identify too many need intervention, that's a tier 1 problem, right? So really being able to close the gap and understand the health of your tier 1, because your tier 1 system determines the pressures of your tier 2 and tier 3. Now, what has changed? Let me tell you a secret. High impact tutoring, right, is essential. So if you not looked that up, you don't know what that is, you need to know, right? Thinking about high dosage tutoring, 3 to 4 sessions a week, 30 minutes, 1-1, 1 to 4 groups, whatever it takes. It's important of trained tutors in the curriculum alignment, right? And so thinking of how we are all as a team, as a unit, sharing data, goals, pretty much you can show 2 to 3 months of extra growth in a semester with this. So what are you doing to make sure you have these components? So high dosage tutoring, small ratios, you're aligned with the curriculum, and you have trained tutors. I hope you have that. Okay, you may ask, Cassandra, what has changed, right? So let me just say, AI has changed things. AI integrates with multiple data sources, whether it be in academics, attendance, behavior, right? So thinking of what are some features that you can implement into your database system to where you have early warning signs, intervention libraries, progress tracking on students, and thinking about what are your stats. We know that up to 40 more efficient you can with AI, you can become up to 40% more efficient in planning, 30% more in supporting students as well. So I think the overall message here is technology does not replace leadership, right? Thinking of what systems do you have in place for that massive impact to empower your systems to make them that much better. Now you may ask, Cassandra, what are the leading schools doing around the world? Well, let me just be honest. they're having weekly data dives, right? Sure, they're structured and they're action focused, right? So, and I think that is one of the things that I see we are struggling with, right? We are not sure what we're talking about in this meeting. What is this meeting for? Why is it so long? I'm so tired. Why is it not structured? Why is it not consistent, right? When we have meetings and sometimes we don't. And really thinking about what does your action look like and is it specific on what you need? Okay, next is what are the dedicated roles? You know, we come in as kind of wearing our hats, like I'm the teacher, I'm the counselor, I'm the whatever, right? But really being able to understand what is your role as an MTSS? Are you the coordinator? Are you the literacy data coaches? Like what is your role within this system, right? Because when we're really working with the whole child, we have to understand all the components that we bring to the table. And then number 3, I like to say the whole child focus. I keep saying Jesuit, I'm gonna stop saying Jesuit, but really looking at the whole child, like how are we combining all the components, right? Thinking of combining the academics. Is it social emotional learning? Is it behavior? Are they second language learners? What does that mean? Do we have the staff that speaks the language? How are we supporting our students in the language? And last but not least, we gotta think about what is our peer tutoring. Sorry if I sound a little stuffy because I am coming over something, right? But thinking about what is our peer tutoring programs and how do we expand that and how do we train the very people in these peer tutoring? Thinking about are we expanding to tier 2, tier 3? What do we need to do to build our leadership capacity in this moment? I think I want to ask you, which one of these can you implement like yesterday, right? Tomorrow, which one can you implement tomorrow? Low-key, people saying, Cassandra, why are you giving all the tea? Stop giving all the tea. Well, let me tell you. First, we have to emphasize tier 1. There was a middle school I was working with last year, and they were like, oh, these students are in tier 2, and then now we're moving into tier 3. And then, you know, when we're walking around the classroom, I'm talking to the principal and working with the principal and saying, hey, look, this is a tier 1 problem. Here are some of the things that we could do. We can all do to improve in reading, right? Whatever our focus is for the district, okay? And so thinking of tier 1 as the foundation, this is the evidence-based curriculum that we're using, that we're infusing with content that we know that supports curriculum. Let me just be honest, even if teachers taught some of these curriculums with fidelity, they would still have to support it with something. No system, no curriculum is perfect. So thinking about what are you doing for ongoing professional development? How are you delivering? What are your coaches doing to support them? What does your universal screening look like? And it's not just one time a year. It needs to be 3 times a year to make sure that you can support your students along the way. And so what are your roles? What is the principal's role? Protect instructional time. I don't have to say that now. Protect instructional time, right? The monitor of the classroom, support, celebrate teachers. I know sometimes in some of our schools, the morale is really low right now. But this is what I see missing is the celebrating of teachers. I see the monitor of classrooms more of like, here, I'm policing this curriculum, and you better be teaching the curriculum, as opposed to, hey, how is this helping students get to where they're going, right? And having those conversations in depth, we're kind of like policing the curriculum. Like, I don't work for Amplify. I don't work for Open Core. I don't work, right? So why are we policing the curriculum as opposed to working with our teachers through the curriculum and celebrating their successes and wins, right? Again, strong reminder, tier 1 reduces that downstream of intervention needs. Tier 1, dedicated blocks. Here we go. Here's the Principal Playbook. Success, tier 2, tier 3. So, tier 2, we have our dedicated blocks. Let me put a check mark by that so you can see where I'm going here. Tier 2, dedicated blocks, 30 to 40 minutes, 3 to 5 times a week. Flexible grouping, right? There is no need for rigidness. We are educators. We could do flexible. Flexible grouping, research-backed programs so we know that move the needle. Progress checks along the way. Tier 3. Okay, here we go. Tier 3. Let me get my cursor right there. Tier 3, we're talking about intensive plan. Special staff, right? You have these specialized staff that are at tier 3. Now, we're family engagement, wraparound supports. We're highlighting the win block, what I need, right? Thinking of what that looks like. You know, all staff are working at once. To tell you a little bit about this, right? I think your scheduling power, and with AI, you can do it with help, but your scheduling power is one of the greatest equity tools that you can have. You know about the equity life, just saying. Okay, I'm about to give you all the tea, but look, just low-key, if you want more information, DM me, call me, let me know. I'll come to the school, I'll help you set it up. But I want to let you know the next steps. What is your 90-day plan that you're about to do, like written at, like right now? What is your 90-day plan? So here we go. Here are our next steps that we're going to do, okay? Here we go. Week 1. It's the beginning of school, so you should be doing this like yesterday, right? You're auditing, right, your current practices and systems. What are you doing? What are you not doing? What can you be doing to implement, MTSS effectively? Think about, what does that look like? How do we get together? Who's on the team, right? What are all the components that we need to do and we need to make sure before we roll this out? One of the things I see in multiple schools is, yes, we have MTSS. We got that. We're doing that. And there's no idea. You ask the very people that are on the committees, they're like, yeah, we meet whenever we meet. So there's no consistency. So there's no value in the power that it can bring. So when we're looking at this, okay, we have to think of what are our current practices. Sorry, let me move on. Okay, build our current team. Build your MTSS team. And don't do this with Google Docs. Now, I love me some Google Docs. But I am tired of us using systems that are not as effective as it could be, right, for things that we value. If you value something, you're going to invest in it. So invest in something like Branching Minds, a tool that can help you with your system, okay? So you're building your team 3 to 4 weeks, right? And then 5 weeks. Okay, we're 5 weeks out now. We are strengthening Tier 1. You can't just say, I'm just going to move on to Tier 2 and Tier 3. You got to strengthen Tier 1. We have to make sure we're on the same place. We're speaking the same love language. This is what we want to do. We want to move our kids. We love them. And we have that passion. And we're going to do whatever it takes, right? And so finally, we're talking about our data systems. A lot of people say, well, we're going to do the data systems first. Well, let me just say, we're implementing screening and monitoring tools. We're rolling that out because we want to make sure our Tier 1 is strong. We have systems in place, and we make sure we support the very people that are running our school system. So understand, this is kind of a framework, your blueprint for school improvement, right? And principals, hey, you set the pace and sustain the vision. Things will be great. All right, if you need anything, call me. Talk to you later. Bye.